uh, she was so kind to us to kind of run through this experiment with us, trying to see how going live kind of plays out. So, without further ado, we're going to get into the meat of this podcast. So, how are you, Hannah?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
Good, great.
Yeah.
How was your day?
It was good. I
Good.
mean, it only started like a couple hours
Yeah,
ago.
that's true. It's like only Monday. And
I know.
oh, man. So, kind of just getting into things, and we'll try to get to know you a little bit better. So maybe we could start with a list of quick fire questions to kind
Oh
of
goodness. Okay.
get into the thing, get into the jam of having a conversation and stuff. So I'm going to be asking you a handful of questions, and if you can just respond spontaneously as fast as you can, or whatever is on your mind.
I'm not a very speedy person, so I'll try.
Okay. So, what is your jam right now?
Okay, so the thing that I've been listening to quite a bit is "I Got You" by Duke Dumont, but I also just listen to a lot of Above and Beyond, Sophia and Sue.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was the last thing you Googled?
I actually just Googled dimensions of health. I wanted to double check on all of the 7 portions of it. Yeah.
Oh, sweet. That will come handy
Yes, it will.
later. So, next question, Scrabble or charades?
Definitely Scrabble.
Definitely Scrabble. One word that you're guilty of saying too often?
What?
That's so funny. So, who is the last person that called or texted you?
Ooh, my boss, Dr. Andrus. I called him, and then he called me back.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
awesome. For work?
Yeah,
Oh,
he had
okay.
to step out of the office, and so he had to tell me what to
she
do over
cool.
the phone, yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Other than wellness, what would be your hobby?
I like sleeping. I like eating. And spending time with friends and family.
That's awesome. Winter or summer?
Summer.
Early bird or night owl?
Night owl.
Night owl? Oh, what's your favorite snack?
Oh my goodness. I shouldn't be telling this to the world, but it's definitely Hot Cheetos.
Hot Cheetos?
And I like Sour Patch Kids too.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Do you have a favorite movie or documentary?
Oh my goodness, that's really difficult, but some go-to animations would have to be Ratatouille, Horton Hears
definitely.
a Who, and Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs.
Oh, sweet. Sweet. Thank you, by the way.
Yeah.
Okay. So now I guess we're going to transition into more of the main questions that we kind of prepped for. So just starting off, you're the wellness director for the student association here at La Sierra University. And you're also a pre-med biohealth science major.
Yes.
I'm sorry, it was kind of rough. What were kind of your first impressions of La Sierra?
I have to be honest, I was a little bit blindsided by the curfew that you have and some of the weekly worships. But, you know, once I got over those, I actually really enjoyed seeing the community that there is here and how friendly people are, it seems.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Was there any takeaways, or like, was it kind of shocking how the community played out to you? Like,
I didn't know too much about SDA community prior to coming here, and even though there's only 50% of our student body is SDA technically, you can definitely still feel the vibes of how they're always, you know, trying to be there for each other and support not only their own people but others, and so it was really interesting to kind of learn about that.
speaking of providing for other people and caring about others, you are the wellness director of
Yes, I am.
student association. How did you get into wellness? Like, what's the wellness story?
So, actually, when I first came on campus, so I transferred here and I heard about the position. It was technically too late at that point because you have to be here for about a year to get it. But I decided to become a wholeness committee senator and then found out about the wellness position, and I had my eyes on it from then.
So, if you don't mind, what is the wholeness committee? Like, what kind of role do they play on campus, or what kind of jobs do you guys do?
So the senators are a different branch of the student association here at LSU,
I see.
and within there we have subcommittees. So the wholeness committee is works with wellness director and with the religious VP. So it's kind of just like a more well-rounded view of your health. And so let's say if I need help with events, I can call on my senators and ask for
Oh,
help
okay.
from there, and they'll be there to support me and stuff.
Oh, that's
Yep.
awesome. So, what were kind of like the motivations to become the wellness director at the very beginning?
Well, obviously, as you can tell from my major, I am
Yeah.
definitely interested with health and wellness, and particularly on the more holistic side. And I know that not only with this position, you have a budget to be able to make those changes and sort of do different things. And so I really wanted to take advantage of that and kind of show the campus different things that I've kind of learned along the ways on how to help yourself.
Oh man, that's awesome. That's great to hear. So, just in case wellness being kind of something that maybe people aren't too familiar with, what's something that you feel that people don't really understand about wellness?
I don't know about not understanding, I guess. I think, though, sometimes we might forget that to be well is a really proactive position that you have to take in your life. You have to kind of step back and be like, okay, I need to evaluate what's going on. It's not something that's just going to take care of itself. And once you realize that and you're prepared and ready to, take part in your own wellness, then, that's also really helpful. Yeah.
So, what are some lessons that you've learned through being a wellness director or having this position? What's like some of the biggest differences in your performance as the kind of year goes by with having this position?
And so this year, since I took on the position, this is the first year that I've done not only extracurricular leadership position, but I also got a part-time job and moved off campus. So I really needed to make sure that I was, not stressed out and getting enough sleep. And so that was definitely one thing with this position that I had to learn to really put your health first over school. So
With all those bio health classes too, huh?
yeah.
Oh man, that's intense. So, what are some of your favorite duties as wellness director for SALSU?
I would have to say my favorite is doing the events, because for me, I get to do all of these different things that I want, and I pretty much do whatever I want as long as it gets approved and it's helpful to the students. And then not only that side of it, but then that I did something that can help others and benefit others.
So you were speaking of some of these events. Do you have any particular event that you kind of felt was successful, or you felt kind of more positively about?
So just this quarter, actually, on the first week, we had an event called Simple Greens, and Salsu Wellness actually paired up with the Environmental Club, and we had students come and they planted their own microgreens. For people that don't know, a microgreen is just a seed that you plant and a little sprout will come out, and it's edible and just like another green that you just pick off and eat.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, that's exciting. Speaking of the Environmental Club, we have Joseph here behind the camera. Hello. So I'm sorry to kind of be all over the place. But uh, what what's something positive you feel about wellness on our campus?
Um, I think people respond to what's going on. Sometimes they might be a little bit timid to take part in what is happening on campus, but when they do, they seem to listen and be interested and learn from it, which I really like to see.
Is there any single piece of advice that made the biggest impact to you, maybe in your job or just in your personal life, that you kind of experienced through this position?
Um, I'm not really big on advice stuff. Like, I don't have, like, quotes or different things like
Right.
that keep me going. So I couldn't really give one off the top of my
Oh,
head.
yeah, no problem. Okay. So, with that being said, you are a super cheerful person yourself, and you have a really high energy, a happy vibe to yourself.
Thank
And I
you.
feel like that kind of has the benefit to your position. So, how do you stay so cheerful?
I'm not cheerful all the time, but I really do try to keep perspective in my life, and sometimes as a student we can really get wrapped up in just school and get completely consumed in that, and I will admit sometimes that does happen, sometimes that can happen. So I try to step back and count your blessings and take part in other things, whether that be environmental stuff, going on a walk, or social, going to be with my friends and family and things like that, and seeing the bigger picture that there's more than just this somewhat stressful environment of what it can be.
You mentioned being caught up in school and maybe that stressful environment that kind of comes with education. Is there any tips, or maybe we could dive into the dimensions of health or
Yeah.
ways to kind of get away from the stress?
Yeah, so I've actually done a couple of events that were geared specifically towards de-stressing, and have gained a couple different things that you can do. But I would say that the first thing before you try to cope with your stress or handle it is to really evaluate how stress affects your life personally. So everyone is affected quite differently, and so it's important for you to understand how it affects you in your own life, and then from there you can kind of choose different things that could be helpful for you. Yeah.
So is there any particular first steps into, maybe after someone identifies that they have been going through a lot of stress through school, whether it be finals week or whatever it may come, is there any first steps that you would suggest that someone takes to kind of de-stress?
Um, I would say maybe put the books away for a little bit and kind of take a breather. And there are a lot of different things that you can do, which I actually have some of the different papers that have been handed out on campus before. Some things that I like to do would be to talk to friends and family, and laughing is a really good way to de-stress. If you maybe don't have time for that, and you just have about 15 minutes of a break in between a class or in between studying, something like that, just going on a 15-minute walk or 10-minute walk out in nature can actually be very helpful to relieve some stress. And with how beautiful our campus is, you can definitely find some really nice places on campus to do
Wow.
that. Yeah.
That's really helpful.
Yeah.
Well, what would be the number one piece? Excuse me, sorry about that.
No
Okay.
worries.
Well, can we dive in a little bit more into these stress relief activities?
Yeah.
Is there any particular one that kind of you found more useful than others?
So for me, I really like to listen to music, and I think that a lot of people will respond to that well, and I realized that sometimes, maybe I don't necessarily listen every day, and that kind of does affect me because a lot of studies have been done on the effects of music, and it helps you not only physically as far as it can heal you, and it helps stimulate your mind and can help with memory and learning, but even on the stress side of it, they find that listening to music or singing along to different tunes that you would call your jams can actually be very stress relieving too.
Now, while doing this exercise, do you recommend just sitting there listening to music and doing nothing else?
So the way I do it is I blast my music in the morning on the way that I'm driving over here when I'm driving here. So that gives me a good 15 minutes to just really listen to music, and I try to just kind of clear my mind, not really think about too much, and maybe just listen to that. And then also on the way back home, I do it again for another 15 minutes, and I just blast my music and sing along, and that's when I really do it the most. Yeah.
What kind of exercises are kind of to preface this, excuse me. You've spoken to me about student counseling and how people could come in and kind of solve their problems with under the realm of wellness. Is there any exercise that kind of people should be looking out for or kind of expecting when they go in and try to seek outside help with stress-related problems?
I would say first and foremost, the biggest thing is that it gives you a chance to talk to someone. I think sometimes we can be worried to open up to people that are close in our lives just because maybe we're worried about, being judged, or just you don't always want to share everything with the people you see every day. And so a counselor is someone that is not only there to be a listening ear, but they also are capable of maybe giving feedback on how to do that. As far as specific techniques that they do, it's really different from counselor to counselor, and depending on what their background is and what they're interested in. But they will, tailor counseling to what you need. It's not just, oh, I'm sad and I need counseling. That's, it's many different reasons to go, whether you're stressed from school or personal life, or you're having some depression or anxiety, and they can work for what you need,
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. So, was there any mentors or any specific people that kind of helped you with getting into your position of wellness director?
So I guess getting to this point of being interested in wellness, I would have to say would be my mother. She was very interested in wellness growing up, and
Awesome.
did a lot of self-teaching as far as holistic medicine on homeopathics and Chinese medicine and stuff like that. And she would always read us a lot of books on different historical figures in the health world and stuff like that. So I think that's what sparked it. And since coming here, I actually work with Dan Narati from the Student Wellness Services in the Counseling Center, and he's my sponsor for this position. And so he's kind of someone that helps me with the different things I do, and with every meeting that we have, he also makes sure that I'm doing okay too, which is helpful.
So, from those two individuals, what would they kind of say to you, if you recall, if they've ever provided feedback for the events or anything that you've experienced through this position for SALSU? Like maybe if you've experienced any failure with this position, can you maybe share something that you've learned?
So Actually, something that I've been having an issue with is getting attendance for events. Sometimes that can be a difficult thing. You know, students are busy, and sometimes they maybe don't hear about it. And so that was something that was kind of getting me down. And Dan was definitely very supportive about that and helpful in giving tips on how to fix that, and you know, giving me different avenues of how to promote and get out to the students more.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So, you are at your last year here at last year,
Yeah.
right? What's something that you've learned through experiencing this position that you would kind of pass on to the next wellness director?
Definitely get a support system for, I think, any position, whether you're the president or the secretary. I think it's important to have people around you that you're surrounded with that are like-minded, are interested in the same things that maybe you can talk to and bounce ideas off of and have conversation, and they'll be there for you, whether you need help or just to, you know, talk about what's going on. And so the senators are definitely some of those people that you could do that with, or your sponsor, or even just finding other peers on campus that are not only interested in leadership but are also interested in this position and kind of being there to help.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. So, lastly, is there any experience that you've gone through that you felt made you better as a person? That kind of influenced you in your personal life. You know, like kind of through through your journey of being wellness director.
I I would have to actually say it wasn't necessarily through being wellness director, but actually through the honors program.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so one of the things that they really push is to really formulate your own worldview and to understand it, and kind of the background of why you think the way you think or believe what you believe and stuff like that. And before coming here, it wasn't exactly something that I was interested in taking time to sit down and think about critically. And over these past 3 years of being here, they really make you do that through classes and different trips and stuff. And a big part of that is kind of understanding, I think, your spiritual beliefs and your morals and your ethics. And that is really helpful because not only does that help you personally, I think it also helps you to connect with others through empathy and kindness. Yeah.
Speaking of kind of the idea of empathy and growing into that, uh, I don't know if it applies directly to wellness, but do you have any advice for that? Like maybe someone that's struggling with the idea of being empathetic or understanding others.
Yeah, so this was actually something I would say about a year and a half ago that I really found I needed to work on in my own personal life. I think sometimes, and especially at a younger age, like college age, maybe we aren't necessarily out in the world a lot and getting to meet a lot of people, and so we might see the world as very black and white, and we might not understand what's just past what we're seeing in, you know, someone's face. And so just to really, every time you encounter someone, to realize that what they're saying is not the only thing that's going on with them. You know, there's so much more behind everything that they do and how they act and what they say and different things like that. And if you can begin to encounter others with that point of view, I think you really start to grow your empathy, and it really helps you personally.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
pretty powerful. It if you were to have a gigantic billboard and you were able to kind of get the attention of maybe 1 million people or so, like just a bunch of people, what would you put on it? And maybe a saying
Oh
or
my.
a picture or anything, a message maybe.
I would put something along the lines, of just step back and realize all the beauty that you're surrounded by.
Yeah, that's
Really,
powerful.
yeah, just take a second to see everything and really see it.
Oh
So,
man, that's great.
yeah.
Well, thank you for experiencing this with us. Are we still live? Cool. Thank you for just taking the time out to kind of uh, dive into this topic, these topics
Yeah.
with us. And I feel like
Thank you.
I hope out there, if you are listening, I hope that you've gained some value from this. Is there any last things you want to say? Maybe any events coming up that you want to tell the campus about?
Yeah, so we have an upcoming blood drive on Wednesday. If anybody's interested, I'll be out on Tuesday getting some signups, or you could just walk in. We also have an event called Real Talk, which is a discussion on depression and anxiety. Whether you come for educational reasons or personal reasons, I think it's going to be a very helpful topic, and there will be a lot of people there that you can connect with if you need some help on that in your own life. And lastly, I just want to say, since we're talking about pretty personal topics, that not only am I here, the counseling services are here, my whole team is here for anyone that is, experiencing anything that we've talked about. If you need us to direct you in the right place or just need someone to talk about things, we're here. So, yeah.
What's the best way to contact you or the wellness department?
So if you can find our number online, I believe, at lasierra.edu, and you could leave a message or stop by the office and see if we're here. Or if you just want to do counseling services, you could go down to Student Wellness Services, which is across the street there, across from the University Church, and get connected with someone.
Oh man, that sounds great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again, Hannah.
Yeah, thank you.
It was fun.